second. Um, so we have our next set of presenters talking about 3D scanning to empower campus FM owners, and we have a full slate of presenters on this one. From University of Texas, Sue Stewart, the Assistant Director of Technology Resources, and Marcus Hogue, Senior GIS Analyst. And then also from University of North Carolina in Charlotte, Josh Parker with BIM and Facilities Condition Assessment Program, and Glenda Mayo, who is the Associate Professor, Engineering Technology and Construction Management. So off of that, I will pass it to the four of you and talk to everyone afterwards.
Thank you for that great intro, Chris. Thank you to our attendees for coming to our session on 3D scanning to empower campus FM owners. Facility owners have developed a new interest in the use of 3D and LiDAR technologies. The use of 3D scanning provides solutions for documenting assets and creating as-built drawings of existing structures. However, a significant hurdle is that there are no industry standards or recommended ways of collecting and using the scanned data. Today, Marcus Hogue and I will detail the path we took at the University of Texas at Austin. Then Glenda Mayo and Josh Parker will discuss the approach used by the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. And we'll close with considerations and recommendations as you plan your own journey. I would ask that you submit questions using the questions pane during the presentation or wait to the Q&A portion at the end. Our original use case for using 3D scanning was to validate construction. Many of you can attest that there is always differences between what you intend to build and what you actually construct. Up to the deployment of our solution, we validated construction using project drawings, a laser measure, and a pen. So COVID-19 forced us to think outside the box. Campus had safety protocols and all staff had different health considerations. So we limited on-campus work to limited personnel for essential work. Our 3D scan solution not only documented existing conditions, but provided built-in measurement tools for us to validate dimensions and also created virtual walkthroughs that we eventually used for a variety of applications like faculty recruiting, touring residential options on campus, virtual site visits, and construction coordination where in-person meetings were not recommended. In addition, the platform created point clouds that could be used for design. We selected a Matterport Pro 3D camera with a Matterport cloud subscription. What we got were Google Earth-like walkthroughs using just a web browser, optional point cloud downloads, and the ability to capture about 3,000 square feet per hour. I will now turn it over to Marcus Hogue, who leads our geospatial data collection team, to show you some of what we've collected.
Thank you, Sue. I'd like to start off in everybody needs a why. And as we know, COVID made us change a lot of things in how we handle things. Well, our housing and food had an issue. They needed to showcase the dorms, their apartments that they have on campus for new students coming in. But we couldn't have them on campus, neither their parents. So they contacted us and said, how can we accomplish this goal of them seeing the area without actually being on? So we used our equipment to create virtual walkthroughs, much less like the new housing area where they're putting these through houses. So instead of going to a house and view it, you can do a virtual walkthrough in that process. So we started scanning all their apartments and dormitories, providing an area where students and parents can see the area before they actually walk on it. Well, that started the next one. Faculty started seeing this and realizing, hey, maybe we've got a new researcher, we want to come in and view their lab, but they can't leave the area and view the campus due to the restrictions, and also they can't stop their research project. So instead of them taking a few days off and coming to the campus, they can now virtually walk through the area where they're going to be accomplishing their research and be able to easily see around, take measurements, and view if this is where they actually want to be at on campus. Now, during this whole process, another group, our construction group, started seeing what we were doing for the other areas and said, hey, can you do the same thing for us? So we started going to areas that they're about to do new renovation and scanning it for architects, for project, for construction companies to do their measurements, to view it without actually having to do an on-site walk, saving a lot of time and effort for different departments, for the companies, and be able to view the area live and be able to capture that information. But what it also gave us is the ability to create point clouds. And using this data, they were able to put it into their AutoCAD or other programs to redesign and move things around. Simple things as we're collecting, but given that aspect of real-time information out there, quick and easy, where you can do a virtual walkthrough, put on a headset, looking on a web browser, but quickly and easily see the area without actually stepping foot on the campus.
So what did we learn at the end? We learned that this technology is easy on the budget. You can buy equipment and a subscription for a little under $7,000. The technology is super easy to use. You can be up and running quickly using Matterport University YouTube videos in 30 minutes or less. Their platform builds Google Earth-like walkthroughs with zoom and pan, and they have built-in tools to facilitate markups. You can add links to other data, measure using a web browser, and those are just to name a few. However, every great solution always has some things that don't really work well. So for this, there were lengthy upload processes. Scan jobs are uploaded to their cloud to be assembled. The bigger the scan, the longer it takes. The matter packs, which contain the point clouds, floor plans, and reflected ceiling plans, are an additional $50 per scan to download. If you have a high volume of projects, this can add up very quickly. And the scan size, we noticed, was limited to what we could accommodate on our iPad. So the number of scans you can have per job varies. You can also stitch together models to cut down on your scan count, but it must be requested through the vendor. And so at some point, you're at the mercy of their capacity. And you can have unlimited scans, but you can only have a certain amount active based on your subscription. And due to the existing technology, there's no easy way to archive a scan. It's just a point in time. They can't serve as a living digital twin, but it has other uses. So now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Josh and Glenda, and they can talk about what they did in North Carolina.
Okay, so we had a little bit of a different need. We've had some great conversations with Sue and Marcus about the overlap on some of the things that they've been doing and some of the things that UNC Charlotte's been doing. But our main driver and the impetus for what we were working on was to basically document our assets. So as opposed to just developing that point cloud, we were looking at a way to, where can we document our assets and how can we get that out to those that need it? So we already had a naming convention for our assets. So we were applying that convention to a tagging within a software that we chose, which we'll talk about in just a moment. And our main focus again was to explore an alternative way, aside from using the BIM model or a CAD drawing, to get the information directly into the hands of those that were needing it in the field. And what we used, our equipment, a little more pricey than the Matterport. This is about a $50,000 unit. We own the unit as part of our academic side of things. We used a Faro 130. Since the time that academia bought this unit, Josh and the facilities management department has also bought their own unit. We'll talk a little bit about, how he justified that, but they were able to make the purchase based on some of the research that we worked on. But again, our main focus, we wanted to capture all the mechanical rooms. That's just where we decided to start. We utilized student help for this. We had a grad student that worked with Josh to go around to all of our mechanical rooms and capture everything. It was quite an extensive process, but we've taken that information now, done a little bit of surveying and working with the facilities folks to decide what's the best way that we can display that information. And we decided to go with a software through Faro called Scene2Go. Josh is going to demonstrate this in just a little bit and show you kind of what we did. But just to give you an idea, our average scan time, it takes longer than the Matterport, but there are also some consultants out there that have some equipment that's a lot faster than this. So this is just for this piece of equipment. But we were able to scan about 1,500 square feet an hour. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is introduce Josh Parker. Not only is he a grad student in our program, but he also is kind of my partner in crime within facilities management. And we have that working relationship between academia and facilities management. But he is going to showcase the Scene2Go software. And this is what we kind of settled on in terms of a way to get the information out there to the facilities management folks. Oh, Josh, you're on mute, I think.
You're right. I forgot. Thank you. So I'm going to look at my screen for a little bit. So sorry, I'm looking away. So this is going to be our base file for what we look at in Scene2Go. If you look, each one of these points right here that I'm clicking on and highlights in red shows where a scanner is placed. So each time I move it over one of those points, it changes colors. So you kind of get an idea of what you can see. So it's just like if you're able to see something in a building, the scanner can see it as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in and just take a quick look around, kind of get you an idea of what is going on. So these little icons is another scan. These are tags where I've put equipment tags onto the plan. So I'm going to go to another one. You can see the equipment tags a little closer. And it's very easy to move around, get an idea of what you're doing. It's kind of like working in Google Earth. So I'm going to click on the tag, and then you have 5 icons that pop up. You could see less or you could see more, but you can go to the panorama view, the 3D view, the overview map, which is what we started with, and then you've got properties, and then this is an open link. So if I click open link, should show you what happens is, since I didn't share that screen, it brings up a URL. So I'm able to look at something on the website. I'm going to pull this back up so we can take a look at it this way, show properties. And here you see some links. So that is a JPEG that I took, just a different view of the piece of equipment. And then here's another URL that takes me to O&M manuals, whatever kind of information that you want to download directly from the company's website.
And Josh, you can do pictures, PDFs, all types of files, correct?
Oh, you can link. I don't know of anything that you can't link, but I don't know that you can link everything. So it takes a lot of different files. So I'm going to go back in there and click on this again. So like I said earlier, that's the overview map. That's where it goes back to. So here's a 3D view. This is actually the point cloud. So you can kind of see how we're into the cloud. And I'm going to click over here, go to this scan. I'm a little rusty with this.
And the difficulty with capturing information in a mechanical room as opposed to, say, for example, a classroom, is that the scanner can only pick up what it can see. So you have to move it around quite a bit to make sure you get all the surfaces if you want to capture all of them.
That is very true. And that's one reason that our scan time or square footage is lower than a Matterport. So if you're going into an open room, your scans do speed up. And we get quality images as well, because that adds 2 minutes to each scan.
Yeah.
So if you look here, so we've looked at all 4 of these icons so far. And if I click on this one, it just takes us back to the panorama view where you've got actually the photo with the point cloud base behind it. So that's another thing to take a quick look at. So over here, you see your measure tool. I can click here, go to here, and I get a distance. Now I've got that in inches, so it's 99.83 inches in US. You can do area measures. You can do all sorts of fun stuff with this. So if I go back out to, I forgot where it is. Shouldn't have clicked that. I'll just do it over here. Overview map. So I can come over here and do area. Almost 1,500 square feet. There seems, yeah, there we go. Got a little bit more of a delay than I was expecting. I'm sorry. So just under 1,500 square feet. I think that is mostly it. There's quite a few things that, like the properties here, you can add that stuff here. One of the things we were talking about our nomenclature earlier. This is what we would call a domestic gas water heater. So we've got a type, the floor level, and then the sequence number. And you can add a lot of different information to this, but that's just one of the things that we add. I thought I'd go over that real quick. And I think that is it for me. Thank you.
So some of the things that we actually learned in going through this process is that Josh was able to work on a cost comparison for in-house purchase of a scanner, and that warranted the approval and information through facilities management for them to make the purchase and do that in-house versus what we were able to compare to a consultant fee. Again, you have to have individuals and also some dedicated people to run the equipment, obviously. So there were some in-house decisions that had to be made in order to make that decision. But just some of the things that we learned was that, comparatively in terms of cost, utilizing student help actually worked very well, I think, for facilities management, because we were able to knock all this out over the spring and part of the summer and get that taken care of so that Josh has all this information at his disposal. We also wanted the ability to measure, and we desired a high level of accuracy. We eventually would like to turn these into BIM models, Revit models, but at this point, I think what we're kind of finding is that, we don't really see an advantage in, we want to be able to utilize BIM in order to get information directly from the consultants and design teams whenever we're doing a new building. But for our older inventory, this seemed to be a parallel effort to help us document as is information and to kind of get the information out to, again, our facilities folks so that, we don't have to wait on trying to create that Revit inventory in-house. So for us, what we learned was that, it's kind of a parallel effort. We got the BIM effort for our new inventory, and this is something that we're doing to document our current assets. Next slide. Okay, and then the pros and cons. Some of the pros, again, we felt it was cost effective in our case. Minimal training. We did have Faro training for the equipment, but I'm able to show the students pretty much in one afternoon how to operate the equipment. We can link and provide maintenance personnel with the access to the scene to go information that we've created. We can eventually create a Revit model from our point clouds. But the cons, I guess, are the fact that it is time consuming to scan and create those point clouds. So there has to be some dedicated information that or individuals to actually make that happen, of course. And then another thing that we wanted to kind of get out there and let everyone know is that some of the research that we've worked on in terms of the academic side was working with USIBD. If you're not familiar, if you do decide to outsource some of the 3D scanning for your organization, USIBD has some great free resources. They have sample RFP templates for hiring consultants. These templates actually provide also a guide. They've developed something called LOA, or level of accuracy. So if you don't need a high level of accuracy, they're trying to help you to not pay for something that you don't need. So again, this is a great resource before you start scanning and before you start making purchases for equipment. You can go to this site. Again, they have a lot of great free resources for everyone. And then Sue.
Hi. So what are some considerations for implementing 3D scanning technology at your campus? You know, some of the drivers, what are you hoping to get out of 3D scanning? What deliverables do you want? Do you want images? Do you want point clouds? Do you want virtual walkthroughs? Do you want everything? Budget, how much money do you have to spend? Would it be cheaper to do it in-house, or would it outsourcing be cheaper? Technical skills, what level of technical expertise would be required for your solution? What licenses would you need? What level of staffing is required? And a time frame, how long do you have to implement this solution? Glenda, can you add anything to that?
Yeah, I think very similar to what both the University of Texas as well as UNC Charlotte, we picked a specific project and we had an end goal in mind. That's, I think, a great way to start is to, again, look exactly what you need, look at what your budget, your resources, and your time frame, as Sue mentioned, and, kind of take it from there. But if you can, bite off a smaller project, again, like we did, we just looked at only mechanical rooms, for example, and how do we get that information out there? So, maybe from a project perspective.
Awesome. And that concludes our presentation today. And it looks like we've got a lot of questions. Glenda, do you want to start? I think one of the questions is this unit, I believe the Faro, is this a LiDAR unit?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Are you linking things like equipment manuals to the scans? And if so, who updates them and how are they updated? How are they maintained?
So Josh, you want to take that one?
I will. So the O&M manuals, anything like that can be linked to the document. We're in the process of getting the technology out to our technicians, and being the one person I am in FM that kind of does this kind of stuff, I'm short-staffed and I'm not actually doing that right now. But as soon as that becomes one of my priorities, which it is, it's just when I get the time, I'm going to roll around and start doing that with the and adding the documents to the scan files so that our technicians can use them. It's a we know it's going to be a time-consuming project, but it's going to be one that pays off in the long run, because if you've got a tech out in the field and he's looking at this and he needs to pull that document up, right there it is. Or vice versa, if he's in the office and he wants to go look at the site before he's out in the field, he's got the scan and he can pull up the documents all at the same time. So there's a payoff. It's just it's going to be a little bit down the road for us.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we and academia is trying to do and working with Josh here is that, we're trying to prove its worth so that he can go to his supervisors and talk to them about, provide us resources and this is what we can do. So in other words, we've proven its worth and shown that it can be done. And now he's trying to gather those resources. So again, that was just our tactic.
Excellent approach. I believe this one's for you. Are you integrating software like Navisworks to verify construction and do design work? I know we aren't, so I would assume that question would be for you.
We have been working with our contractors on our new projects, and most of them, if not all of them, use Navisworks or some sort of software to do that. But in the building that I'm sitting in, I went through and scanned it during construction and noticed a major difference between our HVAC system design and what was installed. Sometimes it was a VAV that was across the room or in a different room, but there was a major main line distribution that was completely changed from the original design, and nobody knew it. It was just never discussed. It was just done.
And that is one of the things that we're looking to do, is do those scans before sheetrock and before drop ceilings go in, so that we have that documentation and we can do those comparisons down the road. So, again, this is just kind of ad hoc work that we've been doing, not something that's necessarily procedure, I don't think. Is it, Josh?
Not yet.
Okay. I didn't want to speak for you guys, but
there's a whole lot of testing and hopeful thinking on our part.
Good deal. Good deal. Next question was, how accurate are point clouds created for Matterport? Marcus, that I'll leave that to you.
We've done the testing, and it's been about 1 to 3 millimeters off, or centimeters accuracy compared to a laser scan. And we've also come in and we've tested out a new GeoSlam. They've still been within 0.02% accurate than what we're finding out in the field with it.
Awesome. So I think this one is for me. What sorts of things are you looking to get out of a digital twin? So, you know, a digital twin allows us to have a living, growing point cloud representation of our building, that if contractors need up-to-date information, we should be able to maintain that over time. Matterport, we found ways around it by, you know, kind of backing up our iPads and storing them, but that becomes a really time-consuming process to save it and then to restore it when you want to go back to it. So right now the technology hasn't caught up to where we are. It's more of a documenting this point in time. Another one for us, do our site scans link to our GIS? We are in the process of finishing up a huge month-long project of scanning our underground tunnels, which is a mystery to people who work and maintain equipment in those areas. The end game, once we get everything stitched up, is to provide access from our GIS map into that.
7 miles of tunnels.
7 miles of tunnels. Let's see. Is your plan to use the scan as a means to audit your BIM model? And I think that could apply to either one of us.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
You can go ahead.
So I think that we don't have BIM models yet. But I think the intention would be that these point clouds could be captured and integrated into the master model and updated that way. Right now, it's very interesting because you can underlay floor plans and see from a point cloud where your floor plans are off. And we notice small things like cubicles oriented the wrong way or one panel being on the wrong side. But it is really helpful to validate BIM models.
Yeah, I agree with that. We can validate the BIM model when we scan, but for us, documenting existing conditions for such as our mechanical rooms will enable us to not model the mechanical room, but to model the architectural aspect of the building and put the scan model into the Revit model. And that way we've got an accurate representation with less work than it would take to do it in the Revit model. So it's a combination of the two.
Absolutely. That's a great approach, Josh. And I think that concludes our presentation. I believe Chris should be coming on soon.
I'm back.
Hey, Chris, there you are.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody's contribution to that. It was great to see from all 4 of you how the 2 universities are using the 3D scanning capabilities. Let's go ahead and bring Matt up to the stage now. I'd love to see his take on your presentation.
Sure thing, absolutely, Chris. I remember seeing Matterport a few years back when it first came out. I thought that was the most amazing technology, and I'm just honestly jealous of being able to play with these tools. Between the drones and these capturing the maps and such, it's just amazing. Digital twin, I heard some yes, no, it's not a digital twin. Yes, it could be, but well, you need the data anyway to create whatever you're trying to build out. So it's a great set of data to go with. Thanks, Chris. I look forward to tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Some good stuff there. I love seeing what you're doing. And as far as the scanning goes, you know, I've done a lot with the 3D scanning as well, and really like seeing presentations on this. And Sue and Josh and everybody, it was good to see you talk about, you know, it's not just the information access, but the data validation and the usage beyond what you talk about the facilities. really liked seeing how you were talking about the usage to see for prospective students and parents, especially during the COVID pandemic, being able to walk through the campus without actually being there. And these 3D scannings have a lot of capabilities too, especially with campus safety and security. So if anybody's looking to get into this, coordinate with your police or security aspects as well. They might, have some buy-in on their side. All right, coming up next we're a little ahead of time. So I think the 45-minute mark, we've got our next sponsor presentation, and it's FM Systems. And they're going to be talking from zero to BIM for operations at the speed of light. So again, go to the agenda on that. That should be starting up soon, and then we'll meet back here afterwards. Thank you.